Let's dive into a little bit more advanced functionality with working with our text before we go ahead and bevel it. So, I want to bring your attention back to the kerning dialog box that we saw earlier, where we can turn on Show 3D GUI, which is Graphical User Interface. When you do that, we get these really cool things appearing on our text. And I'm going to go ahead and just go to a front view here so we can take a look at what we have. All right, so what we have on our text is the ability to use this little arrow here on the lower right to change what's known as the baseline shift, pretty much the ground plane of the text. So we can change the baseline shift. We can use this guy here to scale our text, as you see here. Okay. We can use each of these guys here, which, if you can look carefully enough, have the actual letter they represent inside the box to choose that particular box. And then you can change the baseline shift of just that one letter. Likewise, you also have another box here, which will proportionally scale text. It's like holding down the shift key in many applications. And we have these two arrows here. So the right arrow will give us the ability to change the horizontal spacing. And of course, the top arrow here is for our vertical spacing. So you can really squash and stretch your text. And I can go ahead and grab the X, move it over, and we can do the same thing with the T. So we can go ahead and grab the baseline shift and really just change the whole feel of our logo that we're working on. So as you can see, the text that we have is more customizable than ever. Let me go back to a perspective view. I'll go ahead and just turn off this tool. I'll go back to the kerning and turn that off. And now our logo is ready to be extruded and beveled. So let's go ahead and grab an extrude modifier. And as always, we're going to go ahead and take our text and drag it in until the arrow is facing down. Now we have our extruded text. Now if I click on the extrude modifier, we can go to where it says movement here under the object properties in our attributes manager. And we can go ahead and really stretch out how far it goes by changing the movement. Now if your text is pretty busted up, you want to change the subdivision, you can go ahead and smooth it out with this. I'm going to leave it as it is. And you also have something called Phong, which we'll come back to in just a moment. But before that, we do that, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick test render to show you that the text is kind of cool, but we can make it pop more by adding a bevel. We're going to do that by choosing something called caps. So make sure you have, once again, the extrude operation selected. Choose caps. And you can choose a start cap, which is the front of our text. I'll go ahead and put on a fillet cap. And boom, you get a beautiful bevel right away. We can change the radius of that bevel by hitting the radius. Likewise, we could put a cap on the back of our letters if you want to by going to the end cap and putting on a fillet cap as well, as you see here. You can also change how that cap looks. So as you see here, we have some fillet types here. We can choose something like engraved. Let's take a look at that. So it pushes it in. We also have some that give us steps. So let me go ahead and show you this. We have one step. As you see, it gives us a little version that's popped out a little bit. And we also have two steps, which, you guessed it, gives us two miniature versions of our text. Let me go ahead and put those lines on so you can see what's happening here. Now, bevels are your friend because they catch the light. That's what they really do well. And they make your models always look better. So I'm going to go ahead and do another test render and see how we can see more definition because the light is catching on that bevel. So whenever you can, bevel your objects. Now go ahead and put it back on a linear bevel and we'll do another test render. Nice highlight right there. Now you also have the ability to change the steps for your bevel. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. So as you can see here, we only have one step currently. So we can come under the cap menu and choose the steps. And you can really divide that bevel quite a bit if you want to. Now typically I just leave it as it is unless I really need a smooth look for it. And as you can see, that is how you can make your text look much, much more appealing. And just a few more things you can do. You can go to where the hull controls are, and you can change how the hull or the outside of your text looks. Very interesting shaved off kind of construction look. Go ahead and render that. And we can put that hole inwards as well. So if you have holes, you can change how that is affected as well. So take a look right here. I put the hole inwards and outwards like so, and put the hole back on. So you really have quite a bit of control over how your text looks. All right, guys, so that is a look at how we can not only create text, modify the font that we use and the style, but also how we can use the amazing controls to control the spacing and the kerning, as well as how to add a nice bevel that make our text really pop when we render it.